Good morning. Day 14 of 30. We're almost halfway there, so please notice where you are now, at only halfway. And I, myself, am going to start thinking about what area do I want to focus in on and refine as far as my message to the world. My key words are community and connection. I go to the feria every week on Saturday morning, and one day I was walking in my block and saw one of the people who has a stall there, one of the farmers, and asked him in my limited Spanish what he was doing in my part of town. He laughed and said, "Mi casa," and pointed across the street from my house. Since then, every week, Milton has been giving me a ride home. Unless I'm out of town, or he lets me know if he's going to be out of town and I grab a cab, but it's been pretty consistent for over a year now. And we enjoy a small conversation, the classical music that he plays. We conduct together. He has a lovely wife who's an orthopedic surgeon, and her clinic is right here next door, and he maintains a beautiful garden in the back. He's an agronomist professional and does consulting also in permaculture, organic farming for people all over the country. I'd like to share the garden that I enjoy next door. That's Milton's artistic creation, just for a second here. So I'm going to turn the camera around for us. You can see that there are birds out there, and this garden attracts many different species of birds and bears fruit. It's just lovely to hear all the sounds and watch the action sometimes, just to relax for a few minutes away from the computer. This week, so that's one story about community here in Costa Rica that I love sharing. When people ask me how my life is here and why I go to this particular organic market. I'd like to share another story about something that happened this week. A few days ago, I was coming home from working out, and I passed this open window, like a Dutch door that has an open part on the upper half. And this woman regularly does business there. I don't shop there because I'm committed to gluten-free. But she has fresh baked goods and dispenses them from her home to people passing by on the street. One day, about a month ago now, her daughter was staffing, and I noticed that her daughter's face was blown up on one side. And since I was originally a dental hygienist for the first 5 years of my career, I stopped to ask how she was and how she was feeling, and she explained that she had had a wisdom tooth extracted. Her English is pretty good, and that it had been a couple of days and she was in extreme pain. So I gave her the best of my advice about how to manage that and how serious it could be if it were some other conditions, and to make sure she stayed in close communication with her dentist about her pain and the progress of the healing, because it didn't seem to be subsiding. Well, the daughter's fine, P.S., but the mother was so grateful for my attention for some reason. And she just, first of all, she made me take some pastry, and since I'm an addict, I ate it. And then now it's like 3 weeks later or a month later, and I'm walking by, and the mother is like, "Benga, benga, 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 benga," and I thought she was going to give me another pastry, but no, she wanted me to actually come into her house, and this is a big deal, as those of you who live here know, for someone to trust you enough to invite you into their home. I felt totally honored to be invited, and they were doing their morning baking with their big pots, and with my limited Spanish and her, I don't know what the relationship was, but another family member was there also baking with her. We had a lovely conversation. She offered me coffee and gave me like four pastries to take home, and a pastry fresh baked. And oh my God, so generous, kind, and trusting, beautiful. And then we got into a little thing about, "I see you work out," she says, "I bet you can't lift this." And I couldn't. It was a huge pot, must weigh at least 150 pounds that she could lift. Probably been lifting since she was a teenager. And so I said, "Okay, you want to compete?" And I did some squats. And of course, she weighs about 175 to 200 at 5'4". And that was out of her league, so we just laughed together. That's part of building community, just paying attention and connecting with every single person. They're not the woodwork, and they're not less than. They're not a different species. Every person is a part of our human family, part of the global village, and an extension of ourselves. We have breathed the same air. It goes all around the world. And the water gets evaporated into the rain and falls in all the rivers. The clouds go around. We're all made of the same stardust. And to think that we are better or worse than anyone else is made up. So I invite you to give everyone their due respect as you respect yourself and love yourself. And out of that comes community. Thanks for listening.